speaker. Thank you. Being a virtual speaker is easier than ever before. Years ago, and I'm talking about about 7 years ago, there was a little bit of virtual speaking, but not very much. I know of bigger conferences that would accommodate speakers who couldn't be there because they already had something that was planned. So just think about that. That's 20,000 events globally. And how many of those do you think probably have your ideal clients sitting in their audience? Probably a really good fraction of them. So just think about you have so much opportunity that's happening every single day that you can be tapping into. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, because I'm going to take away some of those myths that might be holding you back. Okay. Sorry, I am on an Apple and it doesn't like to change slides for some reason. So Warren Buffett said, if you learn public speaking skills, you will increase your value by 50%. And I actually think that if you learn public speaking skills as an entrepreneur, you will actually increase your bottom line by about 80%. 80%, not just in your personal brand, but also your bottom line. So if that doesn't encourage you to start taking up speaking, I hope. But here's a question for you. And I'm one of those speakers that actually loves to ask the audience questions. How many of you have done any speaking before? Just type that right in the chat. I'm curious to how many of you have done some speaking and how many of you are a little new to it. Thank you. Some in front of small meetings, fantastic. Once, newish, okay, fantastic. I love this. We got an audience of people who have just done this a little bit. Perfect. So I hope none of this scares you, but I want to tell you a little bit about myself, because if we've never met before, you've never heard me speak before, I'm actually a reformed, painfully shy girl. I actually couldn't even make eye contact with people. I considered myself to be an expert of tile floors and sneakers. And just one day, I just knew that this behavior wasn't going to serve me in the long run. And so I just dared myself to make some eye contact with people and realize that the earth didn't open up and swallow me whole. So I'm living proof that you can actually teach your nervous system that you can do public speaking. And when I first came onto the virtual world, it can seem a little intimidating because it's not the same as a live audience. But again, you teach your nervous system new tricks. I know that you have all learned new things in the past couple of years. So to be able to embrace something new, such as public speaking, is going to increase your bottom line by 80%. So again, reformed, painfully shy girl. I come from the professional speaking world. I actually spoke about leadership and corporate engagement. I've written 2 best-selling books on leadership and personal development. And I also have a podcast now called Be in Demand. And as a result of speaking, you're going to meet some of the most amazing people. I'm always amazed with who I get to meet. So as a result of being a speaker, here are some of the people that I've had the joy of working with or speaking with. And the upper left-hand corner, if you know him, his name is Randy Gage. Moving clockwise, on the upper right is Amy Porterfield. And the bottom right is Darren LaCroix. He actually was the 2012 Toastmasters world's greatest speaker. He won that competition. And then in the lower left is James Wedmore. But the gentleman that I adored meeting the most is actually in the center. He's not wearing his Bruins jersey, but he is known in the Boston area. Does anybody know who he is? Does anybody recognize him? I'll give you a minute to, yes, Liz, that's right. That is Bobby Orr. And he made me feel like the rock star when I actually shared the stage with him. So again, you're going to be able to meet so many interesting people. So let's talk about some of the myths that hold people back. A lot of people think you need experience. I need to have experience in order to be a speaker. Well, it might help you feel a little more comfortable, but we all start with our first speech. I guarantee you that all of those people that I just showed you pictures of, they all started with their first speech. They started with their first podcast. They started with their first TV interview. They started with their first, some of you mentioned that you've spoken at meetings, their first meeting, raising their hand and just sharing. And it's those little itty bitty baby steps that all add up. You're all speaking in public anyways. You just don't realize it. You're new in your business. This one holds a lot of people back. I'm too new. And I think the reason why a lot of people, this holds people back is that they're afraid that somebody's going to ask them a question that they can't answer. And here's the tip. You get to say, can I have your contact information? And I'm going to get you that answer later. You can email them. So even if you're new in your business, you are still a couple of steps ahead of the people that are in your audience. And the people who are in your audience have all raised their hand to say, I'm interested in listening to what you have to say. I'm interested in this topic. I have this problem and I need a solution. So everybody that's in your audience, whether it's virtual or in person, has the problem that you solve, and they want the solution. They want to hear what you have to say. Certifications. So how many certifications do we actually need? And a lot of times we just use that as a form, just like, hey, let me procrastinate a little bit longer. There's really no certification for speaking. I mean, there are organizations that will certify you as a speaker, but you really don't need one. Extroverts. I already shared with you that I'm a reformed, painfully shy girl, and I would consider myself to be an introvert more than an extrovert. However, again, that I've taught myself, my nervous system, how to be a speaker. I've also taught myself when I need to be an extrovert, when I need to step into that sort of behavior when the situation calls for it. And here's another one that holds so many people back. You have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. No, you don't. I know that I've made mistakes, and if anything, the audience doesn't know the next line that you were supposed to say. They don't know the next tip that you were going to say. So if you did sort of forget a certain tip, the audience won't know that. And I'll share a story with you that I was doing a breakout session, and somebody had asked me a question. It was a nice, relaxed environment that I allowed people just to ask me questions as they came up. And I answered the question. And then I didn't remember what I was talking about just prior to that question. And I didn't want to turn around to look at my slide, which would remind me what I was talking about. So I literally put my hand on my hip and I looked down at the woman that I was standing next to and I said, what was I talking about? And the audience laughed. And the audience just felt like, oh, I do that too. They didn't know that I had forgotten, but that's okay. It gave me the second to remember. So your need to be perfect is just going to hold you back. So you don't need to be perfect. So let's talk about different reasons why you would want to use speaking. But before I show that slide, what's a reason that you want to start speaking? I'm going to open up the chat. What's a reason you want to start speaking? I'll give you guys a moment. Just think about why do you want to start speaking? What do you hope will happen from you stepping into that speaking role? Okay, Johanna says she wants to extend her business offerings. Fantastic. You want leads. Amber, great reason to do speaking because everybody that's in your audience is a hot lead. You want to promote your new business, visibility and credibility. Fantastic. Get information out to the right people about the subject that you are passionate about. These are all fantastic reasons. For people to see my courage and faith into what I'm offering in my business. Fantastic. And to be heard over others, to tell meaningful stories and to be remembered. Thank you, Janet. I love that, because you can become one of those captivating, memorable speakers, especially if with an amazing story too. But there's lots of reasons why you might want to speak. Here's just a short list, if you will. You are going to be positioned as the expert. You get to show your expertise. You have that instant authority. The audience becomes a referral base. And what I mean by that is these people who are in your audience, they can either hire you, or maybe they're not ready to hire you. So that means they're going to refer you to others, whether that's for other speaking events, or if somebody in conversation, they're talking to somebody, oh, I know exactly who you need to speak to. I just heard this speaker last week talk about XYZ. And now they're going to be referring you. You can sell from the stage. You can grow your email list. And then you're putting your email list into your funnel and selling more products from there, or getting people on phone calls. I also consider speaking to be very efficient. You've got this group of people who's interested in your topic versus writing out a social media post, posting it over on social media, hoping that the right people see it, hoping the right people like it, hoping the right people. I just think that speaking is extremely efficient. Where else can you speak to a group of people who are interested in what you have to share and offer in 30 to 60 minutes? You'll be able to attract higher paying clients, visibility. Somebody already mentioned that. You're going to gain social media followers because people are going to go check you out. You're going to get more web traffic. People today are busier than ever. And so we are juggling our time. And in order for us to juggle our time, you all decided to be here with me today at this time. So you probably went to check me out because you could be doing a whole lot of other things. So just know that people are going to be doing that. And you can repurpose your speeches into so many other things. I was just talking with a client yesterday about how she can take a speech that she's giving next week and turn it into a blog, and then turn that into a LinkedIn article, and then turn it into a video training that she can give. I mean, the list literally goes on of all these different reasons why you want to start using speaking. So from this list that I just shared with you, do you have any new ideas that you're just I really like that reason, and I want to start using? Maybe I gave you some more reasons to speak. Okay, while you're typing that in, here are some other stages. So I have this belief that speaking needs to blend with your personality and also your business model. So speaking is so much more than stages and Zoom these days. Podcasting. You can have a podcast. You can be a host. You can be guesting on podcasts. You can have a YouTube show. You can go live streaming on any of the different social media platforms. It allows you, when you're doing market research, when you're doing sales presentations, meetings, TED Talks, panel discussions on summits, and the old-fashioned radio. I mean, that actually still exists these days. And they're all of these different platforms are looking for speakers every single day. You just got to get out there and let people know that you're available. So I just want to share with you also, because sometimes people are yeah, but I'm really shy. I'm really quiet. I'm not sure what speaking will do for me. And I'm just going to share with you just a couple of people that I've worked with. Let's just concentrate on the woman on the left. I just want to share with you that she actually left her corporate job because she was afraid of speaking. Her boss wanted her to speak at meetings. So she was like, I'm going to go start my own business so that I don't have to do any public speaking. She did hire me and we worked together. And as a result of speaking, she actually got on TV. And because she got on TV, a publisher got wind of her and asked her to write a book on home organizing. So I consider speaking to be like the gift that keeps on giving. It's always going to be like there's going to be something very interesting that happens down the road. And it's not always, like this is a book event. I mean, a lot of you explained and shared that you wanted to use, like speaking to get leads. So let's talk about how you can start speaking. I want to tell you that you all have a speech inside of you. And this is where I'm going to stop sharing. You all have a speech inside of you. And here's what I'd love for you to do. I want you to write down 3 questions that you get asked all the time about your business, your service, or how you help people. And if you feel like you want to share that over in the chat, go right ahead. And also while you're doing that, I'd love to know what you do. How do you help others? What is your business all about? So the other reason that holds people back is they feel like they don't have a presentation. And that's why I want you to write down what are the 3 common questions that people ask you. And if you have more, write them down. 5 is ideal. 5 common questions: how you work with people, what your unique process is, your methodology, how you got into this, why you got into this, what's the transformation that clients get from working with you. Let's see, Johanna says, I'm an AI and big data expert. I frequently get asked about AI. The questions are endless. I just spoke with a woman who is a medical writer and is using AI. And I think it's an extremely provocative topic. So if you can just embrace that, keep track of the questions that you keep getting asked, because this is what I shared with her, is that you can become a thought leader in this AI industry, especially if you can start talking about where you think it's going, becoming like a thought leader, becoming like a futurist, seeing like how this is going to start, how you can use this a little bit more. Amber's a professor, real estate agent, industry lessons for the AI Hub at the Durham College. Fantastic. So all of those common questions can be your presentation. So let's just say we're talking about AI. There's a couple of you here. So you could well, what is AI? Because there's going to be people that are in your audience that may not understand exactly what AI is. And you can also just take a survey. How many people are using AI in their business routinely? And you'll be able to see from the audience, if most of the people raise their hand, then you'll know, hey, I'm going to shift my questions to my more advanced questions. Versus if a lot of people in the audience don't raise their hand, you might be like, okay, I'm going to answer more and share basic questions, because that's what this audience calls for. It's a little bit more of an advanced tip. But if you want to engage your audience and you want to make sure that your presentation is suited for the audience that's in front of you, then that's something that you might want to consider doing. But real estate agent, let's just take that, first-time homeowners. What do they need to know? Where's the market going? What are some of the repairs or updates you can make to a house that is actually going to increase the value? I mean, these are all things that people would love to understand and love to know a little bit more. I worked with a woman, and she was a real estate agent for first-time home buyers. And I loved how niched down she was, even though that's what she was saying. These people probably, when they went to upgrade their house, she's probably the person that they're going to call because they've already worked with her and she's built that relationship. But again, when you're speaking, you're going to turn that audience is going to be able to be referrals for you. They're going to be sending you referrals. But these are great. So using the common questions that you're constantly being asked, right there's a presentation. So I want to share with you also, like, what are the two, I get this question all the time. Should I memorize my speech or not? And I think that there are two places that you should memorize your presentation. One is your beginning, and the other is your ending. The reason why I choose these two is because you've always got like these little butterflies when you're first starting to speak. And if you know exactly what you're going to say, those butterflies settle down and you will start to sound very conversational. And that's what we want for you. We want you to sound conversational, and I want you to sound confident as well. So, how can you sound confident after you've memorized these two particular situations? Your ending. The reason why I want you to memorize your ending is you're going to know when you need to stop. And you should know exactly how long your ending is. And I always want you to get your call to action in at the end. I don't want you to run overtime with questions. I want you to know exactly how long your ending is, so that if there is a PDF that you want to offer the audience, if you want them to book a call with you for more information, that you're going to be able to get that information in. It is better to end a little bit earlier than to go overtime with your audience. Always be respectful of your audience as well. So here's an easy way to sound confident, whether you are speaking in person or you're speaking virtually, and that is to exhale first and speak from there. So what I mean by that is a lot of times people get nervous about introducing themselves, about starting to speak. And they breathe in and they hold all this air and they're just getting like ready to speak. And then when they finally actually do speak, all of this air comes out and it actually makes their tone go up. And what happens when you ask a question and your tone goes up? It makes you sound like you're unsure of what you're talking about. So what I tell clients to do is you take a deep breath in, exhale, and you speak from there. And if you want to see the difference later on sometime today, just pick up your phone and record yourself speaking in both of those ways, holding your breath, speaking from the top, and then exhaling, and then speaking from the bottom. And you'll notice a difference. You'll hear the difference. And I'm going to give you that as homework because I think you hearing the difference the next time you go to speak, whether you're just introducing yourself at a networking event or you're actually speaking at the next meeting, you'll inhale, you'll exhale, and you'll sound really confident. Some other easy tips are look in the camera, especially virtually. Look in the camera and don't look at yourself because there's a big difference. And the closer you are, because I know a lot of us really like to look at the audience, the closer you are to your computer screen, the closer you are to your camera, you've got to look in the camera and not at the people. The farther away you are, you can actually look at the people because it actually will look like you are looking into the camera. We want to make really, really good eye contact. You can get, and I have not opened these up yet. This is a wireless, and I'm sorry, you can't. They're a wireless microphones that you can get on Amazon. This is really inexpensive. It's probably about $20, and you get a set of two. So you can actually use wireless microphones. And that would help you if you wanted to be a little bit further back, especially if you had like a whiteboard and something else that you were working off of. That's another Another tip, if you are speaking in person, there's something that we say in the speaking world, and that is to acknowledge the cheap seats first. It's actually a theater term. And what we mean by that is, if you think of when you go to the theater, the closer the people are to the stage, the closer those seats are, those are the most expensive seats. So we talk in terms of acknowledge the people that are in the back of the room and bring your eye contact to the front. Acknowledge all those people that are sitting in the back. And then bring your eyes forward and make sure you make eye contact with people. Again, extremely conversational. It's almost like you're talking like a few words or a sentence or two to this person and then moving over to another person. So making really good eye contact. You also want to share stories. You want to make a point. One of your questions, one of your common questions, you may answer that question, but then share a story that reinforces it. Speaking like helps your audience picture themselves in your story. And there's something called edutainment, which meeting planners love. We want to entertain our audience along with educating our audience. So telling stories to people will help your audience just engage with you. And the more everyday your story is, the better. And I'm talking about like, you don't have to have like climbed Mount Everest in order to have some amazing story that the audience can relate to, because how many of you could relate to climbing Mount Everest? I mean, once upon a time, I thought about it, but realistically, like I don't even think I'd have made it to what is it, like the 5th base camp is like, we're like, all right, this is it. This is where it gets real. Your everyday stories is what people want to hear. Because then your audience feels like, oh, he's just like me. Oh, she gets me. And here's another one. You want to speak to one person and not everybody in the audience at once. So what does that mean? It means you wouldn't want to say, so how many of you who here has? Instead say, have you ever? Speak to one, and everybody in your audience will feel like you're speaking just to them. So I'm going to pause here for a moment because I can see a lot of you like writing things down. What questions do you have? Because I could literally like go on and talk to you about speaking for hours. And while you're typing in some questions, here's another one. Humor. Add humor into your presentation. In the speaking world, we say, the funnier you are, the more they laugh, the more money you make. Now, I've had people say, yeah, but I don't have a funny topic. I'm not a funny person. I don't know any jokes. Well, guess what? Mr. Google will help solve all those problems for you. All you have to do is type in humor about real estate, humor about AI, and Google is going to like give you some of the funniest things. If you're in forums about your particular expertise, you could always ask people like, what's a funny story that's ever happened to you? I had to speak for an HR group. This is back when I was speaking on leadership, and I was flying down to Florida, and I just asked this forum that's here in New England, like, what are some of the funny stories that have happened, like that in HR? The gentleman that was running the group had to bring the conversation to an end because there were so many funny stories that people were like, I was just like, really, like, you can't make some of the stuff up. But again, use Google. And one woman that I was working with, she spoke on grief. And grief is, okay, it's not a funny topic. But because she used some humor It lightened the topic. Again, making the audience feel a little more comfortable with what she was sharing with them, feeling like she gets me. I belong in this room. So really consider using humor as well. So Joanna says, how or what is the best way to find out if a company has an appetite for speakers? Oh, I love that. Great question. So one way is, and I'm going to change that, instead of company, if you're trying to get into a corporate environment, you're probably going to have to go through a human resource or whoever their education department is. Do they have a meeting planner? Do they have a meeting planning department? Like a large insurance company that I've done a couple of events for, they actually have a department that does all of their meetings, their meetings for, like the salesmen, the insurance people, like it's a reward for them to go onto these meetings. So they will still have a little bit of education. So some companies have, meeting planning departments. Otherwise, I would check with their HR. And another great way to get to know the HR people is probably to attend either live or virtual HR gatherings. That's another way. But let's change that to associations, because, like the 7,500 that's here in the US and 20,000 globally, a lot of those are associations. So I'm going to speak here for the US, and there are 225,000 professional trade and association groups. Most of them are located, their headquarters are mostly located in the DC area, but that's a lot of associations. And all of those associations have state groups, and some of them have multiple chapters in each state. So you want to find the right associations that have your ideal clients. So one of the things that you can do, Joanna, can you just share with me what you do? And I'm going to give you some real specifics on what to type into Google. And then you're going to find the right association. Then you're going to find either like your local chapter or the national chapter or even a regional chapter. And then you want to look in their like leadership. Most of these associations actually tell you, like, here's our leadership team. And you can go through the leadership team and you can figure out, like, okay, whose title says something about education, meetings, or planning. And that's the person you want to reach out to. And my best advice when you're reaching out to them is to have a very short email. All you're doing is trying to find out how they book speakers. And so what I mean by how they book speakers is literally like, hey, I was on your website and I saw that you have a spring conference every year, or you have your annual conference in the springtime or the fall. You'll have to word it accordingly. I speak on XYZ. I would love to have a conversation with you about how you go about booking speakers, how you go about finding or booking speakers. The reason why I share this with you is because instead of saying, oh, you should hire me, all we're doing is we're opening the door to the conversation with the meeting planner. And if you can't find the right person, always send it to the president. If the president likes what you talk about, again, keeping the email really short, then they're going to forward it to the right person. This is the trick to getting booked. And you will get booked again and again and again. Okay, let's see. The one that you have definitely found. I'm not sure what you mean by that. All right. Before I start my fitness classes, I always tell a joke. Fantastic, Cindy. And what humor does is, neurologically at least, what it does is it breaks down that barrier and it opens us up to learning. Instead of like people being like folding their arms and getting really defensive, like, what's this person going to teach me? It opens them up to learning. So keep the humor. Okay. Does anybody else have a specific Either you have a question. All right, here's another question from Cindy. I want to start doing some little videos for Facebook. What is the recommended length to give a little tip so that I don't lose the audience in 30 seconds? That is always the magic. I think here's the problem with doing like a Facebook. If you're doing a Facebook Live, it's that time that we're trying to hit to go live until it actually is live. And sometimes what I find is that people are waiting for it to actually say that it's live. So once you hit the like go live, I would only wait a couple of seconds and then you want to start talking. There's a delay it can be 30 to 45 seconds, depending on where you live, for the live stream to actually kick in from where you are. So keep that in mind, because if you ask people a question on Facebook, you have to actually keep talking and wait for the answers to come in because they haven't heard you say the question yet. So you want to hook people in with, here's what you're going to learn today. So I happen to love going to the gym myself. So leg day is one of my favorites. So I'm just going to pick that, Cindy. Today, I'm going to show you a great, and I'm doing this off the cuff here, Cindy. So today I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes that people make when doing body squats. So stick around, and I got a great other tip at the end. In case we've never met before, my name is Cindy. I'm a fitness instructor. And so you're jumping right into who you are, and then you want to really jump into, and that's got to be super short. I feel like attention spans are getting shorter and shorter, but you've got to give people like, oh, she's going to show me the 3 mistakes that people make when doing body squats. I'm sticking around for this because I want to make sure that I'm not making that mistake. So we need to put ourselves in the position of our audience. What do they want to know? And another great tip is there somebody that you are following that does great video tips? If so, this goes for all of us. If so, I mean, like, really study their videos. How short is their hook? How short and to the point is their intro? How quickly, like literally, like time it, how quickly do they get into the actual tip? And remember, we got to look at the camera. And if you're working off your phone, even more so. And you might want a good tripod. And also, I see a lot of people making some really great reels. I mean, maybe you need to get help with just creating videos as opposed to live streaming. I know they're kind of 2 different things. And you might want to save an old phone so that you could actually use that as another phone that you can use to create video. And what I mean by that is you can have a tripod that's facing you, but also a tripod that's off to the side. That goes for any of us, for whatever we're speaking on or whatever we're creating video for. And there are so many great apps that are out there that's easy to edit with, also off of your phone. And I also want to share with you that this is like something that comes with practice. You can all go to my business Facebook page and click videos and go watch the very first live stream I ever did. And I leave this up there for this reason. I want you to see how far I've come. And I came into the online world as a professional speaker. And from there, like when I first did my first live stream, I was like this 2-dimensional flat person with like 0 personality. You just have to build up your muscle. My live streaming muscle wasn't strong enough then. Same thing happened when I started podcasting and started my own podcast. I tried to record my very first episode and I was like, oh my God, this is hard. Of course it's hard to talk to. I was in my walk-in closet talking to sweaters and blouses. I had to go get a picture of a person so that I felt like I was talking to somebody. But today, like, my podcast has come a long way. So just know that you keep getting better. Everybody had their first speech. Everybody had their first podcast interview. Everybody had their first TV interview, or, even on cable. But you get better and better every time you do it. You do another rep. That's basically what it is. We're going for the reps, not the perfection. Sarah says, how could I approach selling my business of language tutoring to clients? I'm hitting a wall in terms of figuring out how to make this attractive to clients who are scared of how much work goes into learning a new language. Well, is that true? Is it hard to learn a new language? Do you have a secret how to make learning a new language either fun, or here's how it can be quicker? Because those could be some really important questions that you want to share. So one of the things with speaking, and when you're crafting your presentation, is what's an objection that your audience or your potential clients typically have when working with you? Typically, the objections are about time, money, and belief as to whether or not I can do this. So to tell a story that addresses those beliefs, it doesn't have to be all of them at once, but when you do that, you are neurologically changing the people that are in the audience, and you're pulling forth the right people who need to work with you. So what I mean by that, the woman that I shared earlier who got on TV and got the book deal, I tell her story a lot. Again, corporate, didn't want to speak at meetings, decided to start her own business. And then one New Year's, she told her friends, that's it. I'm going to get over this fear of public speaking, and I'm hiring a speech coach. She was a busy mom of 2, building her new business, and she decided to overcome her fear. Her why I want to do this was bigger than her fear of speaking. So she started speaking, spoke at her very first mom's conference. And as a home organizer, she asked the audience, what do you want to know about? And she gave them 3 different options. That meant she had 3 different presentations ready to go. And she hit it out of the park. And I asked her later, I said, were you nervous? It's her very first presentation. She said, no. I said, why? She said, because I felt like I had 5 years of experience by the time I gave that first presentation. So that story talks to moms, busy mom entrepreneurs, and also people that have a fear of speaking. They suddenly feel like, oh, I have a fear of speaking too. But if that girl could do it, maybe I could do it too. So that's why I want you to tell the stories that help people see the transformation and help them overcome their own objection. Because at the end, they'll be raising their hand saying, can I have that PDF? I want to sign up for that too. So I hope that helps you, Sarah. So Liz says, could you give me some tips on how to communicate with confidence and speak to one when networking? I'm concerned that what to say, being comfortable when networking, not so much in a large group. Okay, Liz, same thing. When you're introducing yourself, inhale, exhale, and then say, hi, I'm Liz. Make sure that when you are explaining what you do, your elevator pitch, I tell people to have at least 3 different elevator pitches in your back pocket. Who are you speaking to? We want to make sure that we give the right elevator pitch to the right person. Is this person an ideal client? Is this person somebody who can refer me? Is this somebody who could, I also deal with a lot of entrepreneurs at one of the Boston business schools. So the third one is is this somebody who could actually be an investor? So by finding out who the person is first, and then you introducing yourself, oh, it's really nice to meet you. And this is what I do. Instead of having the long elevator pitches, I like to really dummy it down. If you met me at a networking event, I'd be like, I'm Laurie-Ann. Oh, what do? I help people write and deliver speeches that attracts business and clients. It is so short, sweet, and to the point. But what you want is you want that one-liner to actually start a conversation. So then you might say, really? How long have you been doing that? Or how do you do that? Oh my God, I hate public speaking. And then I might tell you the story. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I'm a reformed, painfully shy girl. Like, we just end up having a conversation. So again, have a couple of those different elevator pitches in your back pocket. At least definitely one for your ideal clients and for somebody who can refer you. Stand tall, like the whole shoulders back, and just be warm and inviting. Smile. That will help you. And another thing that I found that helped me, and Liz, I don't know if you would consider yourself to be an introvert or an extrovert, but also, like, if you're at an in-person networking event, pretend that you are the hostess, that this is your party that you are running. And what do you do when you are the hostess? You're constantly engaging with people. Oh, I just met somebody over there that you probably should meet. The two of you have, similar audiences or similar client bases, and you can start introducing other people. Connecting people is like one of my favorite things. Good. I'm glad that helps, Sarah. Who else has a question? And if anybody wants to unmute and talk, I don't know if that's allowed, but feel free.
Oh, that's fine. We have 8 minutes left.
Yes. I'll give you
They're
a
all shy of
second.
public speaking, so they're not.
Yeah, I know. Sarah said there was one from Eric above. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Eric. Okay. What advice would you give to a speaker with a foreign accent? I am French and I always wonder if my audience understands me. I'm going to tell you, I'm a little jealous. I just have this plain Jane Boston accent. If anything, I bet you're very interesting to listen to. I'm going to guess that French is also your first language and English is probably your second. Okay, there you are in the front row, shaking your head. The only thing that I have ever found is it depends on your command of the English language. Okay, so first off, one, you're bilingual. Maybe you've even got a couple of other languages in your back pocket. And that means that there are more places that you can speak at. Whereas, like, there are foreign countries that if they hire me, they have to hire a translator. And that actually means I have to talk a lot slower so that the translator can keep up. So the audience actually only gets about half the information. So I bet you're very interesting to listen to. Like we have like these, especially with an accent, it's fun to listen to, and it goes up and down and up and down, as opposed to being very monotone. But I'm really glad that you asked that question, and thank you for the person who pointed it out. So don't let that hold you back. Just get out there and start speaking. And then if you end up making friends with people in the audience, here's another great tip. When you are speaking in person, get there early and say hello to people. Now you're not speaking to a group of strangers, you're actually speaking to some friends. And Eric, if it's really a concern of yours, then I would just ask people afterwards, or videotape yourself, give it to a trusted friend, and ask them, how well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you feel like you could understand me? As long as it's good quality audio, because we don't want him to be making a judgment off of bad quality audio. Okay. So I have one other resource for you. I have a directory of places to speak for anybody who you're probably like, I don't know where to start. Let me show that to you. It's speakandstandout.com/gift. That is my directory of places to speak. There's over 50 different associations and organizations that routinely look for speakers. Some of them are hot links. They will bring you to their main association page, and from there I would find the chapters, and it's broken down into 6 different industries. And then also my podcast, Be in Demand, has a ton of information. And then my Instagram is right down there on the bottom. If you have any questions, I'm very reachable and would love to help you out. So again, that is speakandstandout.com/gift. My podcast, Be in Demand. And this has been so much fun. And I hope that you guys are going to start speaking, because all of those associations that are in that directory, those meeting planners, you are a breath of fresh air when you approach them. Again, write the email in a sense of that you are opening the door to having the conversation, not the please hire me. Have a conversation because you want to find out if you're a good fit for their meetings. So thank you so much.
We thank you, Laurie, for being able to take some time out of your business schedule to be able to share this information with us. I'm sure everyone that's been on the presentation is going to be walking away with a lot of great information, nuggets to help them for public speaking. I'm in total agreement with you that public speaking is so important. I never said this in my bio, but outside of BSED, I am actually a speaker and a speaking coach. So I work a lot with entrepreneurs, similar to what you do with their storytelling, their elevator pitch, because everyone has a great story, and most of the clients, I find that all they really need to do is refine their value proposition and just be able to share that when they're out networking. Like, it should just take them like 30 seconds to be able to tell people the benefit of the product and services that they have to offer. So we're almost on the same page. So it was nice listening to you and understanding now exactly what you do now. So thank you so much for making us a part of your day, but more importantly, for being a part of our day as we celebrate entrepreneurs this week.
Thank you.
And for the participants that are here, thank you for coming in. I know some of you have probably done double events so far for the day. I hope you'll continue to enjoy the rest of the week and understand that all these events is not for us, it's actually for you, to help you and your business as you move forward. And the recording is going to be on the YouTube channel for BSED. So it is, we have recorded everything, and we're going to make sure to have that posted on the YouTube channel. So just stay posted, and I'm sure there'll be some follow-up information to let you know when the video is running live. And Laurie, thank you for allowing us to tape your presentation as well.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's it.